Good morning, everyone. I wanted to share 10 miracles that have happened in my conversion story. So, back when I was about 22 years old, it'd be about 13 years ago, I was searching out for God. I was going through some struggles in my life and I wanted to come to know God more. I had a friend who took me to an Institute of Religion class for the LDS Church, and the teacher wrote my last name on the board. My last name is Fieldson, and it has an LDS in the middle. And he said, "Oh, that's a sign you're supposed to be a member of the church." So I thought that was a funny little sign. Fast forward a few years later, I went to Utah to go to General Conference with my friend and her family. It was a really impactful experience. And I came back and I was reading an essay for my class at Cal State Long Beach. And I was in the middle of the essay. It's like a 40-page essay. And I stopped and I just had this prayer, this thought come to my mind. I wanted to find out if the restoration really did happen. I had grown up Catholic and then later went to a Christian church, and I was learning about the restoration of the gospel, and I wanted to know if it was true. So I wrote out a little prayer to myself, to God, and I picked up where I left off and read the very next sentence in the essay, and the very next sentence in the essay had the word restoration in it. So that kind of freaked me out. Then the next day I went to school. I'd been attending Cal State Long Beach for a few years, but I had never seen the Institute there. I'd gone to the Institute at Golden West. And so I had a thought to myself to try to find out where the Institute of Religion was at Cal State Long Beach. So I wrote a note, put it in my pocket, went to one of my classes. After that, I was on my way to the next class. And all of a sudden, right in front of me, this booth was set up that said, "Welcome to Institute." And there were two missionaries there and two other people from the local ward. And they told me that they were trying to invite people to the Institute. And it was actually the first time that they had set up that booth all year long. And so I was like, oh my gosh, there's like angels going to fall from the sky or what? It was a pretty crazy coincidence. After that, I ended up converting to the church through a whole another series of miracles and just reading the Book of Mormon and so many amazing experiences, things I was learning and the associations I was making. It was just a real born again experience. I felt like God was speaking to me. And I decided to go on a mission, which is a really hard thing for my family because they had not been preparing to have me leave for a few years. So they were going to drop me off at the airport at Long Beach City Airport before I left on my mission. And it was probably one of the most vulnerable times in my family ever. They were all crying, and I was pretty happy. I was ready to go, but it was definitely hard as well. So a miracle happened when we got in the airport. My dad and I have a special relationship, and we connect a lot through music, and his favorite band is the Moody Blues, which is mine as well. And so we were in the airport, and usually I don't notice music in the airport, but right before they were about to say goodbye, we noticed that there was music playing overhead. And out of all the thousands of songs or bands that could have been playing, it was a song from the Moody Blues, which was a special thing for us. But out of the over 100 songs that the Moody Blues sing, it was the song that had the most pertinent title to what was going on in our situation. It was their song called "I Know You're Out There Somewhere." Still to this day, we talk about how electrifying and amazing that was, an undeniable witness that God was saying to us that he was there and that everything was going to be okay. So fast forward to my mission. Definitely it was a hard mission, and there are so many miracles that happened as well. A couple that come to mind. One was my companion, his father, his grandfather, but father figure, passed away from cancer at about age 70. And we heard about that on a Sunday morning. And the very next day on P-Day, we were walking to the grocery store. And this elderly man that we ended up finding out was around 70 years old. He reached out to us and he told us that he just felt compelled by God to talk to us. Turns out he also had cancer and was about 70 years old. Like I said, just like my companion's grandfather who had passed away the day before. He ended up getting baptized and his wife later. So that was pretty crazy. Another time we were teaching this couple and the lady wasn't sure about getting baptized, even though they had had so many blessings come into their life since they were going to church. And so we fasted. We started a fast that day. And the very next day we came to talk to her, and she said that she had a dream that night that she was in the place of Lazarus and Jesus was coming to her to say, "Rise up and follow the steps of my gospel." She had this amazing miraculous dream that she never had anything like that before. And it was the very time that we had been fasting. So so many things like that were just really confirmatory to me and really transformative experiences. Something else I found out about on my mission is it was going to be my my mission president's birthday. And I noticed that was right around the time of my dad's birthday, which is October 30th. So I found out that it was October 30th. My mission president seemed like he was around my dad's age, maybe a little bit older. I found out he was turning the same age as my dad. He was born on the same year of the same exact day, October 30th, 1960. So what are the coincidences of that? What are the odds of that? There's another thing that just connects the church to me and my parents even more. And of course, I thought it was a sign that, hey, this is the true church. Come on, parents, join it. But I think they thought of it more of just God bearing witness of his reality and that what I was doing was right. Something else that happened when I got home from my mission, my favorite convert from the mission, I was talking to him on the phone, just checking in, saying how things were going. And I told him that I was looking for a job at a restaurant since I got home from the mission. And just as we were about to hang up, he told me, he said, good luck, buena suerte, good luck with the job. Literally like a half a second after we hung up, one of the jobs that I had put in an application for called me that I had gotten the job. So I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy timing. We had another time too where the sister missionaries were over at my parents' house having dinner, and the sister missionaries shared a spiritual thought, and it was from like Ephesians chapter 6 about putting on the armor of God, and they just felt prompted to share that chapter. And it just so happens that my dad said to himself, he's like, I wonder how that reads in my Bible, because he has a different version of the Bible, and he reads the Bible every morning. And so he looked and opened up his Bible, and his bookmark was right on Ephesians chapter 6. That just happened to be where he was reading out of the hundreds of chapters. The sister missionaries' inspiration perfectly lined up from where my dad was. So once again, just the stars aligning. We had another experience where we went to the funeral, sadly, of my middle school music teacher, who was such an amazing lady. And I was in the car with my parents. They put the address in the GPS, and it was going to some Presbyterian church in Long Beach. They put the address in that they had gotten from the email, and it took them all the way. And we got up to the church, and it was an LDS church. And we were like, okay, I guess, they were wrong. It turns out there's nobody there. That wasn't the right place. So he looked back at the email, and he had put the right address in. So he just decided to put the address in again. And it took us to the Presbyterian church this time. So my dad actually said to me, oh, you probably think that's a sign that we're supposed to be members, huh? And I said, oh, you said it, not me. Fast forward a little bit later, too, I struggled with caffeine. I had some really bad struggles with consuming too much caffeine. And the Lord helped me to overcome that. And I went to the temple, and without revealing too much, part of the temple ceremony is receiving a new name. And ever since I had gone through the temple 10 years before, every time I go back, I haven't had a time where I heard my new name again. But right before I was about to receive it, I just had this prompting, this kind of burning come to me, like, hey, this is going to be yours. And when they said the name, I just said to myself, okay, wow, I knew this. I knew that was going to happen. It was crazy. And these coincidences are not coincidences. And I'm just so thankful for the gospel. I'm so thankful for God revealing himself to me. I know God reveals himself to people in so many different ways and different areas of life, different parts of the world. And I just want to bear testimony that God is real and that he loves us. And I know it does seem mysterious sometimes when bad things happen to good people and we don't know exactly when he's going to bless us, but I have a burning testimony that he does. And you can feel that fire of the Spirit. I've had different times where I've been in the temple or at baptismal services or reading the scriptures or singing music where I'm just pricked to the heart and I can't even, it's just, you feel so touched and so connected to God. And there's plenty of times where I don't feel that either, but I wanted to bear testimony of that. This conference that we just had this weekend was so great. And I think it was Elder Stevenson or Elder Anderson or somebody invited us to share our spiritual experiences and remember those and show gratitude. It's going to help us to be happier. It's going to help us to bless others. And we're going to have more spiritual experiences in the future if we carefully record them. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.